everyone, it's Dee here. I'm back with another video. Please like and subscribe if you like my content, and please turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified of my recent upload. Leave your comment down below if you like to share your opinions. Let's dive into today's topic, which is going to be Turkish literacy rates. I decided to talk about this topic because today, as I was going downstairs to feed my cat Colony, I just wanted to stop by the supermarket to grab a quick snack for my tea. And when I went there, the door was closed and there was a paper posted on the door saying they're going to be counting the itinerary for the remainder of the evening, so therefore they're going to be closed for the evening. It was a little bummer, okay, but I came into terms with that. I was just on my way to home when I noticed one of my favorite neighborhood cats stuck inside the supermarket. I saw one of the staff members and I just waved at him saying like, hello, the kitty is here. And he came around to me to the door and I just was showing to the cat just in front of him, just by the door, hey, can we get him out? And he said okay, and from the way that he was gesturing to me, and I thought, okay, he understood me and is gonna go quickly grab the keys and come back and open the door for me. He never showed up. I waited there for like 25 to 30 minutes and assuring the kitty, hey, you're gonna be out soon, don't worry about it. And kitty was just like, was just chilling, and I was just panicking outside in the cold weather. So I was there 25 to 30 minutes. I started waiting at 6:50 and I gave up at 7:25, 7:30-ish. So as I was waiting there, a lot of shoppers, they came by and just wanted to do shopping. They were disappointed. A lot of them understood what was written on the paper. But a lot of people they were pretending they understood the paper. They looked at the paper, they looked at me, and they still asked me the question why it was closed after supposedly reading the paper. One of them was a 10-year-old boy, and I asked him, hey, do you go to school? He said, yeah, I go to school and I still don't know how to read. And there was a 65-year-old woman came to me and said like, hey, can you read the paper? I read it for her and she still didn't understand. And there were a couple of other people looking at me, looking at the paper. So I assume, and I'm pretty sure they were reading it, but they were not understanding it, or they were too shy to admit they didn't know how to read. Anyway, so this brings me to the point where I'm really curious, like, what is the Turkish literacy rate? Let's look at the statistics. So let's ask ChatGPT, shall we? So I'm just gonna ask the ChatGPT, what is the literacy journey of Turkey? This should give me the answer of the transformation of Turkish literacy rates from Ottoman era till today. So it says Ottoman era below 10% because they were using Arabic alphabet and it was not easy alphabet to learn. Plus Ottoman Turkish was polluted with a lot of Persian and Arabic words, which was making it extra difficult for kids to learn. And the only way people got access to the secular education was through private Christian schools, which most of the population did not have any access to. So only education that they would get is from the religious education, which was based on Quran readings. And even then, they didn't teach them how to understand Quran. They just told them how to read and how to write. That was the only thing. They did not teach them how to understand Quran and how to be able to speak Arabic properly. The first thing he did was to implement a new alphabet, that is Latin alphabet mixed with some nuanced letters to match with Turkish pronunciation in 1934, I guess. And the other one was to find the Institute of Turkish Language. The institute was responsible for digging up old Turkish words to replace Arabic and Persian words and to make it easier, more relatable to just ordinary Turkish people to learn how to read and write, bring the language more to the human level, since the language, the Ottoman language, was really disconnected from people. And whenever they had to, for example, do official writings, like they have to write a letter or they have to do a petition and all that, they had to go to someone on the street to be able to write those things. They were not able to write petitions on their own. Fast forward to today, thanks to all the reforms that were carried out by Ataturk, now Turkish literacy rate is way higher. It's the 90% according to the statistics. This was partially thanks to the village institutes that was opened by Ataturk in the beginning of Republican era, because he wanted to bring education to the people of the village without them having to migrate to the cities. At that time, we have to be self-sufficient in the cities with our production. People migrating to the cities to get education was counterproductive. He wanted people to stay there and learn about technologies of farming, having better education on how to farm and to create a better yield, how to take care of the crops in a better way, to be a self-sufficient country, so we could get over the times of clashes and wars that was about to happen in 1940s and 50s. So that was a really clever move, which really brought up the numbers in between the 1940s and 1980s. Then they closed the Turkish institutes, and Turkish literacy only was depending on the Turkish state schools. First state school actually was opened in the Ottoman era that's called Tanzimat era in the late 1800s, and that was the first state school with a secular curriculum. Before that, they did not have any state school. They only had the religious schools, and they only had religious education. Fast forward to today, according to the ChatGPT, the literacy rate is really high. It's 95%. But what I experienced today is 4 out of 25 people don't know how to read. And that's a generous number. I am not even talking about the other ones who didn't admit. They were just looking at the paper and they were not able to understand. 16 out of 100 people don't know how to read. And that leaves us with 84% literacy rate. Today's government didn't put anything on top of the literacy rate. It just stayed as the same levels as the time that they came into power. Is because they don't want educated voters. If they get education, they're going to question. They're going to be able to read. They're going to be able to make their own mind. They're going to be able to research the lies that are being told by the government. They're not going to have enough with the information that is served to them by government-controlled TV channels, and go and search on their own, make up their own mind. Obviously, as a result, the government is going to lose vote. So their biggest investment is the destruction of education. There has been so many changes in the last 20 years in the education system that kids do not have any idea what's going to happen in the next 5 years anymore. They're almost trying to destroy the education system. So 95% is quite generous number. It's not that high. I am living in Istanbul, and that's the situation I'm experiencing. And imagine what's happening in southeastern Turkey, where Kurdish population is the majority. If that's the situation in Istanbul, that must be about 50-60% in those regions. And this is the reason why we are having all this clash, and unity is real difficult to come by, because we don't speak each other's language. Turkish is supposed to be the roof over all the ethnicities that Turkey has. It's not trying to erase any ethnicity. It's not trying to erase your culture. In the beginning of Turkish independence war, a lot of Muslims were coming in because they were exiled from all the Christian countries that Ottoman Empire lost their territories. So they had to come here, but they were all speaking in different languages. They had different cultures, different ethnicities. Atatürk tried to create an identity that will embrace all of them, that will unite us in one goal. And that was through being Turkish, and that was through teaching Turkish. So we could speak each other's language, we could communicate better, and government services and establishments could reach to the rural areas better. Because without having sovereignty in rural areas, you do not have any sovereignty at all. This was understood by Atatürk, and the reforms were made in this direction. But I think we are experiencing a kind of like a relapse. We are not improving at all. The numbers are staying at the same rate because the government doesn't want people to get educated, to have their own opinion. And as we get educated, especially women now have the rights to vote, since the times most of the countries didn't give rights to women to vote. We are more powerful in the political arena. We have more education than men, especially the university education. And that brings us to lowered birth rates. They do not want him to join the workforce, because if they join the workforce, they make less babies, which means we are going to lose our young population in a couple of generations from now. Losing our population with the education system going into dumpster, the change is not going to be like one of the European countries whose population is decreasing, but the education is becoming more and more important and people are becoming more and more qualified. It's just the opposite in Turkey. Our population is decreasing and education is in shambles. So it's not going to be good. I don't know what the government is trying to do, because the system works increasing the literacy rate and it's still not working. Then somebody must be putting the effort to make it not work, and that's the government for you. They're trying to mess up with the education system. They're opening university in each and every neighborhood, thinking that this is going to bring education and quality into the education system. But if you look at the top 500 universities, I think we only have one university in there. This is embarrassing for us. I think we should do better, but I'm not really hopeful, because everybody's just really complacent with what the government is doing. Nobody complains. Even those who are in the opposition are at times doing the wrong things when it comes to education. The opposition leaders are not any better. And this is the reason why I'm not really hopeful of the Turkey's future. That's why everybody is trying to just go to another country, get education in another country, migrate to European cities. Especially the young people don't want to stay here. Their only goal is to finish the school, the bachelor's degree or high school degree, and get a diploma, get some sort of certificate of skill, and just migrate to European countries. That's the first thing they want to do. They just want to abandon their country. One of the very clear examples how I can explain to you the education is really going bad. Whenever I'm on the street doing shopping and just interacting with people, talking to them and just small talk sometimes, they always ask me, are you teacher? Are you teacher? Are you teacher? This has been happening for the longest time, but recently I really became curious, like why they are asking me. I just really want to know why they're asking me, because it's not the way I look, it's not the way I dress, it's not that. What is it? Then one of them told me, like, you are speaking Turkish properly. Speaking Turkish properly became really something rare to be seen in Turkey. And that tells you so much about the environment, education system in Turkey. And whenever I see like street interviews of these media channels, they will go to the street and let like regular people on the street talk about the politics, and they give their opinions about what's going on in the political arena or social issues and all that. The way that they speak, you can tell, like the beginning of the sentence and end of the sentence, they do not come together. They don't make sense. So even when you're speaking to them, they are using Turkish words, but they do not put them together in a very correct way. So you're still trying to understand what they are saying. You need translator to be able to understand them sometimes. So this really is a grim reality of Turkey, and I don't see anything improving anytime soon until something changes drastically. And this drastic change is gonna come only when people are just fed up and when it is too late. To be honest, I don't see Turkish Republic lasting more than 50 more years. I hope I'm wrong. I hope things are going to improve, because I don't want to give up on my country. I don't want to go to another country. I don't want to be the second-class citizen. I don't want to be a migrant in another country. Please leave your comments down below, what you think about this issue, about literacy in Turkey. If you live in Turkey, please give me your opinion. Maybe I said something wrong. Please correct me. And talk about your issues in your own country. What is the literacy rate and what are the reasons why it is lagging? Let me know. And keep the conversation going. Keep being curious, and see you on the next video. Bye.